What's good, Super Riders? I'm Aaron. Welcome to the Shred Spot. You may notice behind me right here, I've got the brand new Inspired Hex, my 26-inch street bike. I have been wanting to ride this bike proper since I unboxed it a couple weeks ago, but the weather is not necessarily cooperating with me. So instead of trying to fight the elements, I figured I would just add a couple new features here in the Shred Spot and test this thing out proper on those. Every single time I build a new feature for this space, it opens up just an exponential amount of new lines. And so I figured maybe it's just better if I make a new feature here and then test this bike on it, and that's exactly what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna roll a real quick building montage, and at the end of it, we're gonna have a new feature. Microwave time. I think this is gonna be a pretty standard box. Everything in here is pretty squared off, and I haven't gotten too weird except for a couple of the ones behind me here. So I wanna go about 3 feet wide, 6 feet long. This will give me plenty of space for my bike up top and plenty of room to kind of move around and do all kinds of different stuff and to come at it from different ways. But the height is where I'm really struggling to kind of figure out how high it should be. 34 inches because it's a little bit smaller in here. There's not a lot of room for running up on stuff. And I could for sure do 34 inches, or at least I think so. Or 36 inches because everything is at that 1 foot mark. So I have these 2 foot box, I've got a 4 foot box back there, so maybe a 3 foot box to keep it even. 3 feet, you really gotta be like thinking about it every single time. You can't go halfway on a 3 foot bunny hop or a 3 foot side hop. You definitely have to commit. So I'm definitely challenging myself if I've got a box this big in here because I can't go halfway. I have to go 100% in every single time. Whereas 34 inches, even though it's only that much shorter, you can pretty much nail it every time, or at least I think I can. Let's go with this and see what happens, I guess. We'll go 3 feet tall, 6 feet long, 3 feet wide. All right, all the cutting is done here. I got a little scrappy and was able to reuse some pieces from other boxes that I've built, but I didn't overbuild it like I've done some of the other ones. If you look at the bottom of Grimace, you can actually see the same top is replicated on the bottom, and this one, I'm gonna try to go without it to see if I can get away with it. Worst case scenario, I just have to add a couple more pieces, but I think I can get it done with just this. We made a 3 foot box. It's been a minute and I haven't had any professional help, so I'm pretty proud of myself. Now all I have to do is come up with a name for it and paint it. Then we can actually ride it. Actually, maybe we should put it in place and ride it anyway, just to test it out. 36 is still pretty intimidating. Seems good. Yeah, of course, now that I'm committed to this build, the weather gets nice. Well, I guess I could use this time to burn in the brakes on the bike so it's all ready to go. So we're at the top of a really big hill by my house, and what I have to do on this bike before I really start riding trials on it is burn in the brakes. And what that basically means is that I'm heating up both the pads and the discs, and by doing that, it just somehow makes them work better together. I'm not totally up on the science, but this is just what you gotta do. So I'm gonna blast down this hill a bunch of times, jam on the brakes, and these brakes are gonna work better than ever when I'm all done. Manually. I used to have the fastest time up this hill on Strava, and now I think going uphill I've got the slowest as well. This ought to do it. I've just got a couple minutes left on my hall pass for today. Let's just check real quick and make sure that the brakes are working great. Seems good. Let's take it back to the shred spot. One of the things that would be perfect for testing out on the first ride is actually putting some numbers up on the board for our Trials Discord. I'm gonna put a link in the description below, but on the Trials Discord channel that we've built, we actually have a bit of a leaderboard for who can bunny hop the highest, side hop the highest, gap the farthest. And we have it broken up into different skill levels as well. So if you're not already in the Trials Discord, definitely go check it out. So we settled on this royal blue color for the box, but haven't been able to come up with a clever name for it. Every other box inside the Shred Spot has a cool name, and this one is still untitled. So if you have any suggestions, drop them down in the comments. I could use some help. Now that I'm ready to approach the blue box, there's a couple things I'm gonna do to kind of simplify the process. And one of the main things that I'm struggling with, or that I have to adjust to with this new hex, is the wheelbase being longer than every other bike that I've been riding. So the process and timing of when I lift up the front wheel and when I flatten out to get up onto the obstacle is a lot different from the other bikes I've been riding. Now, one of the main ways I'm gonna build my confidence is actually using this board right here. I'm gonna put it at a slight angle, and not that I'm gonna use it to ride up necessarily, but it's just so that my front wheel doesn't smash into the front of the box, and it's gonna help kind of gently glide me up. It's gonna give me that first bit of confidence that's gonna get me up onto the box, and then as I start getting more confident with it, I'll take it away and I'll have a 3-foot bunny hop back again. Yes! Woo! That felt pretty good. Now that I've got an official first ride in the books, there's a few things that I want to kind of test out and try when it comes to this bike. I think it's pretty clear that this bike has met my expectations and exceeded them in a lot of other ways, but there's always going to be a few little tweaks, and because I think this bike is going to kind of be the one, I want to make sure that it's in the best case scenario for riding. I want to make sure everything is as dialed as it possibly can be. And so that's why I'm going to try out some of these other things just to see if I can make it just a little bit better. So the three things that I want to do, I'm going to update the rotors to 203 millimeter. Right now they're 180 millimeter, which is how it comes stock, but there's really no reason not to update to 203 millimeter. It's going to give you more stopping power. They're what everyone else is running, and although it does void the warranty was only good for 6 months anyway, so let's just go for it. I want to see how much of a difference it's going to make, and I think that'll be really interesting to kind of compare and contrast how that bigger rotor is going to make a big difference on the brakes, or maybe not. The next thing I want to do, I want to go to tubeless in the rear tire. Just as I'm landing on the back tire, I'm starting to feel like, yeah, I'm definitely going to get a flat tire sooner than later, and because Inspired now makes a tubeless setup, I might as well run it. I want to test that out and make sure that I can get it running on here. And then along with that, my third thing, I'm going to put a different rear tire on there. When I pull it out of the box, it was that 2.2 width, and I thought, well, we'll try it out. We'll see if this is weird or different, or if it's totally fine. And actually, it's totally fine. It doesn't seem to be making too much of a difference. I think maybe more of a mental thing for me. 2.2 rear tire on a trials bike, like that just doesn't seem right. So I'm gonna test out maybe like a 2.3 or 2.4 and just see if it makes any difference whatsoever. Truthfully though, a 2.2 is just fine. I think I'm just more mentally caught up about it than anything else. What stood out about this bike, based off of the first ride that I've really gotten a chance to do on it, there's really a couple different things. The first thing was that the bigger wheels and kind of the longer bike got me a little bit more comfortable on higher obstacles, which leads me to think that I'm gonna be able to ride up bigger things as a result of kind of that longer, bigger bike. The next thing that was kind of a surprise to me was that the bike was really light and nimble, and I thought going from a 24-inch bike to a 26, I was gonna be giving up a lot. And thankfully that wasn't the case on this bike. It really kind of just goes wherever I need it to go. I don't feel like I'm muscling the bike around to get it to where I need it to be, and that's a huge plus for me. Now, all that being said, the wheelbase is just a little bit longer. So for doing things like bunny hops, I've come up short a couple times just because the bike is a bit longer and takes a bit more effort to lift up. But I feel like once I adjust to that wheelbase length, it's gonna be totally fine and I'll have it back under control. This bike feels a lot like my old trials bike from a decade ago. This is the feeling of a bike that I've been kind of looking for quite some time. I knew I wasn't gonna get it from the competition bikes, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's coming back and I'm getting really confident and comfortable, and I think that's only going to improve as I ride a bit more on this bike. If you managed to miss the unboxing of this bike and all the detail that went into it, definitely check out the video right here. And if you're here to learn how to ride trials, here's a playlist just for you.